When life gets unpredictable, preparation matters. In medicine, it's all about staying alert, ready for whatever comes through the door. On the road, it's no different. That's why Volvo designs vehicles to help anticipate risk, reduce harm, and protect lives. The Volvo XC90's advanced safety systems inspire confident decisions wherever the road takes you. The Volvo XC90, for life. Proud sponsor of the Pit Podcast. Learn more at volvocars.ca/safety.
All right, welcome back to the Elias Macko Show. And happening right now in Washington, D.C., Donald Trump and Joe Biden leaving the White House together, heading to the U.S. Capitol for the inauguration ceremonies and the swearing-in. Just what an image from D.C. Peaceful transfer of power. Joe Biden and Donald Trump heading into the same limo, the same presidential vehicle, and heading to the Capitol for the swearing-in ceremony. We're also close to that, and of course, all morning long, all afternoon long, we will have live coverage of the inauguration of Donald Trump. Now, for In Transit today, let's talk about the impact of Donald Trump, his impact, what his impact could be on Canada's automotive industry. A lot of experts say that our auto industry is especially vulnerable. Steel, aluminum could put pressure not just on those that make cars, but the suppliers of those cars in this country. Let's head over now to Greg Layson, digital editor at Automotive News Canada, to find out more. Greg, welcome to the program.
Thanks for having me.
So what are you hearing about this? And I imagine in Ontario, this is just the biggest of deals because so much of the economy relies on the auto industry. What are you hearing on that front?
Yeah, I mean, this would be catastrophic for the auto assembly industry, the automotive parts supply chain, ZEV mandates, investment in the province, you name it, it touches on just about everything. And here's why. This industry is so integrated from basically the Quebec border all the way down to Mexico, and supplies, parts, vehicles, they can travel upwards of 7 times across the border. So every time that happens and there's a duty or a tariff, it ups the price of a vehicle in America. And if Americans are paying too much for vehicles, they'll stop buying Canada-made products. And right now we export 80% roughly of the vehicles we make in Ontario to America. So we're talking hundreds of thousands of jobs at risk and billions of dollars at stake if these tariffs are implemented.
So I would imagine, though, it would go both ways, right? So if Windsor's going to be hurt hard, I would think, well, Detroit, across the border right there, would also be hurt hard as well. So is there a hope that the GMs and Fords of the world will step in and say, wait a minute, you can't do this?
Yeah, and that's what we're hearing now, because here's how this works. Not every part that is used in a vehicle and assembled in Ontario comes from Ontario. You know, about 40%, maybe 30% of those parts come from Michigan, Ohio, Illinois, and they arrive just on time in order to be put in the vehicle in, say, Windsor or Brampton or Oshawa, and then they're shipped back to the States to be sold. The same can be said for parts over here that go into vehicles in the United States, and then that drives up their cost as well. So it really hits America twofold. One, with the sticker price of a higher priced vehicle, and two, with the suppliers who are still supplying parts to Ontario. So those jobs go away. Because what automakers ultimately want to do is have a balance of where those parts are made. The majority of parts are made near the assembly plant, and then the remainder come from another state or province, depending on which side of the border you're on. So this is a really messy plate of spaghetti of a supply chain, and everyone is affected. And the automakers simply can't say, let's move Honda Civic production from Alliston, Ontario, to our plant in Indiana and get all our supplies from the surrounding states. It just can't happen overnight. These are years-long decisions and contracts that they're going to have to renegotiate and move and decide on where things are going to be built and find new capacity. It's just not going to happen.
Greg, how much does, you mentioned the EV mandates and things happening on that front and how Donald Trump will handle that EV transition. I know it's been difficult for the traditional automakers, that transition. And when I look at what's happening in China, they're already at 50% EV sales, and they're, in fact, just announced they're going to keep subsidies going in China. And that's going to be your future competition. How does that play into things about how both countries here, Canada and the U.S., really do need to get their ducks in a row when it comes to the evolution, the change that's happening in the car industry when it comes to EVs?
Yeah, this is a complex transition. Let's start here. Automakers were always going to move toward electrification. But what happened is jurisdictions like California, British Columbia, Quebec, and the federal government in Canada stepped in and said, we're going to mandate the sales of those. So they tried to speed up that transition. But in order to do that, they needed to give incentives. And so we saw here in Canada $5,000 at the federal level, up to $7,000 in Quebec at one time. So that sped up the adoption. When you take those away, that means the EVs become more expensive. People second guess them. Meanwhile, across the sea, across the ocean in China, they're using government subsidies not only to sell them at home, but also subsidizing the manufacturing of them so that they have a cheaper sticker price. And that's the concern over here. And that's why we saw Canada and America implement 100% tariffs on Chinese-made electric vehicles, because China just simply undercuts everyone at the price point. They've done it with solar panels and other things, and they were looking at doing it with EVs. So we're really at this standoff now of whether we're going to keep the incentives here in North America and bring that price down, or just let the free market work. If we let the free market work, prices will remain high. Chinese vehicles that are more affordable will look appealing, but they'll come at 100% tariff. This is a long play by China, and it's a difficult challenge for North America.
Let me ask you this, Greg. There's a reporting out this morning, Reuters and the Wall Street Journal, saying no tariffs for now. They're just going to broad memo that will be released asking further evaluation for China, Canada, and Mexico and those trade relationships. Is there a sigh of relief in Windsor this morning?
There's a sigh of relief in the auto industry. That news actually broke on my editorial call this morning, and we all went, oh, okay, now we kind of know the plan for the next couple days. It's not doom and gloom was one of the quotes. It's not panic was another quote. Look, the bottom line is this. America needs our vehicles. 5 automakers build vehicles in Ontario, and of the 9 passenger vehicles assembled here, 3 of them are their respective brands' top-selling vehicle in the United States. So when Trump says he doesn't need our cars, he's not telling you the truth. That's why they're going to review everything under the sun when it comes to trade and then make targeted tariffs. That's my guess, and I'm thinking that the auto industry might escape tariffs in the long run.
Greg, real pleasure talking to you. You clearly know your stuff. I want to thank you for hopping on and breaking it all down.
Sure, anytime.
Greg Layson is digital editor at Automotive News Canada.